Character development is very important in literature, especially in the novel. And that is because the novel has plenty of space for character development, and some scholars even argue that the driving force of the novel is characterization. I'm going to talk to you about these character types, namely the normal characters, grotesque characters, and Gothic characters that can be developed in a novel. What are these Gothic and grotesque and normal characters? Well, Gothic characters and grotesque characters are extreme departures from a predictable normal character. These characters may be used to pose a conflict between good, between evil. And in more imaginative literature, these extremes of characterization, Gothic and the grotesque, are used to create literary tension. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But first, let's go over these character types. Normal characters. Normal characters are predictable and typically one-dimensional. These are your stereotypical characters. These characters often include stock characters, and they're mainly used in the novel to give you a sense that as you read, you experience actual life. We don't have to dig too deep into these characters. For example, in this photograph, if we were to treat this woman as a normal character, we could probably assume that she went shopping, she's happy with her purchases, and we have no reason to believe otherwise. But there are characters that depart from the norm, and these are considered Gothic characters. Now, Gothic characters are bigger than life, superhuman, impeccable in the looks, in their looks, and values. In pulp literature, these characters usually remain static. In other words, they don't change. Batman is a Gothic character. He lives in Gotham City and lurks in the shadows, just waiting to save the day. And he will always be Batman, as far as a hero. In more realistic literature, a Gothic character can change towards being more heroic or less heroic, normal or unpredictable. In other words, there is more movement within realistic literature. In the TV series The Sopranos, for example, the main character, Tony, is constantly changing from being a heartless killer and mobster to living as a caring family man. And this creates an entertaining literary tension that we enjoy and makes the series very successful. But at the other end, we also have grotesque characters. And these are characters that are unlike Gothic characters who are superhuman. These grotesque characters tend to be subhuman and flawed, again, in the way they look and in their values, if they have any values. A grotesque character acts in ways below the expectations of a norm. We cannot trust these characters. When they represent evil, these characters remain static, as I said before. But in more realistic literature, a grotesque character can also change towards being more Gothic or more normal. in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and in Beauty and the Beast, that we are all so familiar with, you have grotesque characters. Quasimodo is severely deformed. The Beast is huge and beast-like. But these characters slowly move towards being more heroic as the plot develops. And again, that makes the plot a lot more interesting. Now, in Bless Me Ultima, the novel that you are reading, we have examples of all of these characters. Antonio, his family, his mother, his father, sisters, uncles and aunts, grandfather, they're all developed as normal, predictable characters. They're either farmers or they work, they tend to the home, they go to school. And then you have the Gothic character who is introduced into the novel when Ultima, La Grande, the elder, or also the big one, is introduced and brought into the household of Damaris, the Lunas. And then you have the grotesque characters. You have the characters such as Tenorio, the Trementina sisters, who are constantly engaged in evil and making other people ill. Now, in the novel, you will see that this good and this evil are in constant battle. But the literary tension is not really created until we see that this normal Antonio is being moved, is being pulled or pushed by Ultima into a Gothic reality. And so we see other characters that seem to be moving a little bit between these character types. We see Narciso, who is the town drunk, worthless as can be, who seems to be a little bit more aware of the illness of Lupito and who tries to defend him even at the point of losing his own life later on in the novel. So it is the movement of characters from one extreme to the other, or partially to one side or the other, that creates this tension that makes a novel not only interesting and dramatic, but entertaining. As you read Bless Me Ultima, look at these characters and see which of these characters are static and remain in one place or the other as far as characterization, and which characters become a little bit more dynamic.